Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Sunday Night Live, your favorite automotive show where we cover the issues that affect the customer experience at your stores, whether it's the front of the house, the back of the house, or somewhere in the middle. Every week I bring on people that either have done it or are doing it now with actionable items you can use in your store tomorrow. And I am blessed with a wonderful network of friends and colleagues that come on and share what they do every week. And this week is no exception. We've got Corey Smith, Eric Howige. I pronounce it correct, finally? After
Close enough, Paul.
And Damon Egan, all experts in automotive. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Paul.
Why don't each of you introduce yourselves, give us a little background, starting with Corey.
All right. Well, I started in the car business in 1998 as a service advisor, worked my way up to being an assistant service manager, then a fixed ops director. All my experience comes from Maine. That's where I'm originally from. I currently live in South Carolina. Got out of the retail business in 2016. I started my own fluid distributorship, did that for a while, and created a PowerPoint for EasyCare, talked to Tony Wandren, and here I am 3 years later as the National Fixed Operations Training Director for EasyCare.
Excellent. Well, welcome. Eric.
My name's Eric Howdige. I have all my retail experience from Chicago. I worked in that area for about 20-ish years or so. Started off as a porter, went to service advising, did some time in the parts department as well. Then I went to become a manager overseeing stores in Chicago. And then after that, I went on to begin living my dream, which was doing fixed operations training and consulting. And we've been doing that now I've been in it since 2023, if I'm not mistaken. So going into 2 years. And it's been an amazing trip so far.
Excellent. Welcome. And Damon Egan.
Well, I started in the car business actually by accident because I was in the banking industry, and unfortunately the branch in my city closed down. So I was looking for a job, found a job as an F&I manager. From there went to sales management, and got tired of working pin to pin. So I saw the service guys leaving at 5 o'clock every day and thought that's a good gig. So started as a service advisor at an aftermarket shop and moved into the dealership world. Moved from Ontario, Canada, out west to Alberta, and have been with Sherwood Ford for 9 years now.
Congratulations and welcome. You know, the car business, every time we talk about it, we say it's changing, right? It's been changing every year since I got in it some 46 years ago. And the problems that we have today, many of them were the same problems we had back then. You know, oh, I can't find techs and all this other stuff. Well, guess what? We couldn't find techs then either. Although a lot of things have changed insofar as technologies, the basic people themselves have not. So we're going to dig into a little bit how to boost your profits and profitability for 2025, because it seems as though people are recognizing that fixed ops is important again, now that people aren't beating down the doors and saying, oh, I have to have that car, and the talk track of, well, this is the price, take it or leave it because I have other buyers. It's not as effective as it once was. Mm-hmm. So the owners that are not seeing some of these front-end profits come in are now expecting service departments to pick up the slack. So it's a very timely subject that we're talking about here. So let's talk about future-proofing your service department, all right? We have had shifting expectations from consumers. We've had some technology advancements. How do you gentlemen see that affecting what's going to happen in stores today? And feel free to jump in and bounce off each other here.
Well, I think you've got like you said, a big shift going on where service is finally more important than the front of the house, right? And we need to enhance the gross profit margin. So your top service departments aim for grossing profit margins approximately 78%. So retaining about 80 cents of every dollar is what they're looking for that direct cost. So how do you get there, right? And I think we talk a lot about retention. We've had retention issues over the last 10, 15 years, and we talk about maximizing that repair order. So Eric and I really talk about when we enter our training classes is not adding one more car into the mix, but maximizing that repair order by adding one more line onto that repair order, right? And doing a proper walk around and telling that customer, here's something that's required to be done on your car, and giving them a feature advantage benefit of why doing that. And that's that customer engagement, right? 86% of your customers will spend more money for a better experience. We'd all agree with that?
And they'll drive further also.
100%.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I know that we've been working with fixed operations departments is understanding change. It's not going to remain the same. Our customers are demanding faster, quicker service every single time, more direct. The experiences have to be enhanced. And if you want to prove yourself, you have to make sure that your mindset is ready to adapt. It's ready to move forward. It's ready to evolve and bring your staff and your team along with it. Leadership is now changing as well, where we see leadership where the one idea doesn't work anymore. You have to take in a team of ideas in order to grow your team. So working with your ability to change your mindset to appreciate and adapt to change is going to be a huge thing, Paul.
Before we go on to Damon, I just want to read a couple of comments. We got Nathan Williams, looking forward to tonight's automotive goodies. And Freddie Trujillo, good evening, great group. Scott Gregg, great panel tonight. Roger Gutierrez, strong panel. And he says, good evening, everyone. Nathan Williams, a fellow Canadian on Sunday Night Live. Great.
All right.
Nathan's up in Canada as well.
I'm not the only one. Excellent.
You are not. I have many friends north of the border. So your perspective.
Well, I think that, the other, both Eric and Corey both made an excellent point, is that we are dealing in a new currency now, and it's not money, it's time. That is the currency that customers are dealing in now, and we've got to be well aware of that. That's why, a lot of dealerships now are going into different, extended service with mobile service, with pickup and delivery, because convenience and time is the new model, and we've got to be cognizant of that. And we have to make sure that we're doing the right things as a collective, rather than it being siloed throughout the dealership, to make sure that we're respecting customers' time.
You know what I found interesting about time, and depending on what side of the desk or what part of the house you're in, time is really relative to value, right? Time, a lot of people think, means quick in and out. And for a lot of people it is. But I'll give you an example. Let's say you're a road warrior and you're calling on a store, all right? Time. To try to get time in front of that dealer principal or the general manager, it seems like an insurmountable task a lot of the times, okay? Now, add in the end of the month to that. You're like, forget it. There's no way you're going to get in front of the dealer. However, if you have that opportunity to get in front of the key decision maker, regardless of what time of the month it is, it could be the last day of the month in the afternoon. If that person hears something that they see value in, you'd be amazed how, I've got a few minutes for you, turns into an hour, hour and a half later. So when we talk about time in the store and respecting the customer's time, in my view, it's educating the customer as to what condition their car's in and what their options are, and engaging them to that point where time really is up to them how much they want to spend it. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. Eric talks about it all the time, is get in front of the customer and ask them, what does the end of the day look like for you? And I know I'm stealing a little Eric's thunder here, but he talks about that. And that's, as an advisor, I know when I was an advisor, I didn't ask that. I just figured they knew exactly, if they were going to drop it off for the day, they knew exactly what time we closed. The customer doesn't, to your point, and everyone has a different end of the day. Everyone has different expectations. And if we don't meet those expectations or tell them up front, hey, your oil change won't be done in 10 minutes, right? So it all goes back to maximizing that repair order. And we need to get better as a industry to provide same day or next day appointments, so we can keep attracting those customers who might otherwise seek service somewhere else, because they're going to keep going somewhere until someone matches their needs. And then they're going to stay with the last person because they're just sick of looking, right? I just bought a new vehicle. Haven't bought a new vehicle in a while. I got a new Lincoln. The service department comes and meets me before I even take delivery of the vehicle. They tell me exactly what can happen and what's going to go on with my vehicle. They can pick it up for me and drop off a loaner. They can do the service right in my driveway. I can drive to the dealership if I want to. You know, all those things. They gave me business cards and put all the contact information in my phone so I can make an appointment via email, text, or phone call. That was customer service at its finest. I've never seen it done like that. And normally it's just a sales to service handoff, and here's our service department with our fancy waiting area. That's it.
That is awesome. And one of the areas that I've always looked at, if you look at some of the biggest companies that maximize their marketing to the public, they really never market the product. They market the lifestyle, right? Everything that product can do for the person's lifestyle. So as I was coming up as an advisor, and the same thing when we were working with our teams, one of the things I always knew was lifestyle is always first, and everybody has a different lifestyle. So it's important to understand what's important to the person before we start talking about our product. Before we start putting our product on that person, let's learn their lifestyle and let's promote our services towards that. And again, I researched a few different companies, and the more I seen commercials or ads on social media, the less I seen them talking about their product. And I'm like, this has got to work, right? So that's what we do when we implement our processes, is always look at the customer.
Well, I would totally agree with that. And, you know, one of the big things at our store is we don't have what they call an open drive, where it's just everybody running around trying to grab customers as we can. We have a closed drive. So our customers work with the same service advisor every single time. Relationship building is crucial and critical in this business. To go back to what you were saying, Eric, about a lifestyle, when we do a walk around, it's not so much as to find what's wrong with your vehicle, it's to build that relationship with the guest coming through the door. You know, if that bumper sticker on the back of the vehicle is, you know, with 3 kids and a dog, we're talking about 3 kids and a dog. You know, if it's skiing or mountain climbing or whatever, we're talking about that. And that's what, you know, what we've got to be looking at. It can't just be the almighty dollar. And I agree, Corey, we should be maximizing our work orders. I mean, our work orders are a healthy 4.5 hours per work order, and that's fantastic. Mm-hmm. But it's not just about that. It's building that relationship. So when that customer comes in, it's no longer a transaction. It's a trusted person on the receiving end of those keys saying, you just take care of me and don't worry about anything else. And we got you. That's our big thing, is that with our team, we want to be the guy. Everybody has a guy. I've got an accountant guy. I've got a financial guy. I've got a plumber guy. We're the car guy. I always want to be the car guy. So when you have a problem, you know who to call. And we can only do that by building really strong relationships with our customers.
I love that you have the advisor with that customer through that whole journey. That's amazing, because people buy from people they know, love, and trust, right? And they get that same service every single time. They gain more. That gains more trust. That brings more walls down. I love that.
Now, I have a little different twist on that. I'm a big proponent of that. I agree. I see things more of as a team. And now, the one advisor for that customer, if you have a store where turnover is not a big issue, that's great. And I know in Damon's store that is not an issue at all, because they're the place where people want to work, right? But some of these other places where there is some turnover issue, you know, just to play devil's advocate here, I see I'm with Sandy for X amount of time, and now Sandy leaves. Sandy's the only one I know. Now I've got to start over with Bob. Now I start with Bob. Now maybe Bob leaves, and now I've got to start with somebody else. So from the team standpoint, like when I ran my shops in the aftermarket, all the customers knew all of the techs and vice versa, right? So it felt like they were coming to a family. And to your point about it's not the product, you know, that's where a lot of marketers today miss the point, or a lot of dealers miss the point. They want to do the vanity commercials like, look at me, look at how wonderful I am. Nobody cares about that. What they care about is what's important to the customer. It's not the product, it's how you make them feel. My dog had an accident on one of the beds. I don't want to mess up my washing machine, so I go to the local washing place. I say to the woman, I said, I want to drop this off. I want to have you wash it, dry it, and tell me when to pick it up and how much money I have to give you. She tells me how much, I leave. It was very convenient. I go back. I said, what do you, I said, what's your value proposition? I said to her. Well, we do laundry. No, that's not your value proposition. Dig deeper. How long does it take to sort clothes, wash them, dry them, and fold them? She says, how long? I said, how long does that take? Oh, it takes a while. No, for most people, it takes about 6 hours per week. So I said to her, that's your value proposition, okay? I love doing laundry, said no one ever. But what is the result if they never had to touch it and it got done and they don't even have to leave their house? What do they gain back in time? What's that worth, right? I said, that's your value proposition. And that's something that I think a lot of stores don't spend enough time to focus on. What is it or how is it that the customer benefits from what you do? In doing a good sales to service handoff, if you can tell them what's in it for them and lay out how every visit's going to happen, and then maybe even send them a video after they go over the curb, after they take delivery, and maybe before they come in for that service appointment, a reminder for their service appointment that has a little video with here's where you're going to drive in, the door's going to go swoosh, you're going to meet with Jill, and this is what she's going to do, right? So now they come in, they do what's on the video, and you execute on that promise. What does that do for trust?
And, Paul, one of the things that I look at with that is too many times I was hearing the word sell. And everybody loves that word sale. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm going to say it out loud. I'm more, when I started looking into that word sell, if I told you I sold you on anything, if I said that to anybody, nobody feels good about that. And a sale happens one time, a purchase happens for a lifetime. So one of the things that I looked at was backing this in and saying, okay, what is sale? How do we equivalate sale, right? Well, it's production. And then what I did was I love studying human science. And when I looked at the human science of it and how to actually change production, and I look at the psychological improvements that we can make with our staff to do that, it was reducing stress. And in the human behavior side of that, to improve that much, you have to boost morale. So if you're really looking at your end product, and I believe it's something Damon may be doing with his team, which is probably why he doesn't have turnover, and you want to have your clients, not your customers, see that person in your service department, not necessarily pin it on the advisor, you have to make sure your entire team is working off of that same culture.
Well, and to Eric, just to kind of go a little bit further to what you said, one of the things that we talk about at our store with our advisors is just that word advise. We advise people what it is, but we go one step further. When you go to a lawyer, you seek counsel because he is a trusted professional, and that's what we are. So we don't sell, we provide counsel on what needs to be done. And because we've gained that trust with dealing with the same customers over and over again, we can provide that counsel and we can show to the customer, and the customer trusts us that we are the professional, and they take that counsel and then make their decision based on what we are saying. So I agree. That whole sold word, yeah, it's a dirty word. And it never has been in the car business up until recently, when it became very easy from Elon Musk to go on your iPad or your computer or your phone and build a car and finance it and be done with it and not have to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's rapidly changing how we go about our business. As much as we want to say that the more things change, the more they stay the same. We're really trying to disrupt it and change the game with how we do it.
Yeah, I think the other thing that we're seeing a big swing is how dealers are implementing targeted marketing. It's no longer blanketed messages saying you're due for your oil change. And Eric, I think, talked about this earlier. It has to be directed to that customer, to their wants and needs. So utilizing digital and traditional marketing strategies to reach that potential client, and then also retaining that customer. Retaining existing customers is often more cost effective than acquiring new ones. We'd all agree with that. So you really got to follow up at a high level and make it personal, right? And sometimes it's getting back to basics. We talk about, and I think Paul brought it up earlier, is that making that customer feel good. How great would you feel, Paul, if you came in and saw me and spent money on service, and 3 or 4 days later you go to check your mail and you get a homemade thank you card. It says, "Hey, Paul, thanks for doing service with me. Can't wait to see you in 6 months." How would that make you feel?
Unbelievable is how it would make me feel. Matter of fact, I have here somewhere.
Oh, he's got props. I like it.
I had a feeling he was going into his library.
I can tell you that Lincoln that I bought, the salesperson was listening to me throughout the whole course of ordering this car. When I walked away, he gave me a thank you card. So I opened it up later when I got home, and it was dinner for 2 at Ruth Chris, because I told him I love going out to eat and I love steaks. And I just thought that was just a really cool thank you.
You know, one of the amazing things that the new business offers, and I'm talking all industries, they make it simple to do business. Today I was supposed to finally have my new office up. I was so excited this week because I'm like, I'm coming in, all my furniture is going to be there. And look, I don't like to build, but I purchased everything that was delivered to my house because it was simple to pick up, right? And I get here and I don't like the color of the wood that I had ordered.
Oh no.
And I was like, you know how fast it was to return and order the right color? 4 or 5 clicks and it was done. Loaded it on the truck. It's already sent back. And that's simple to do business. Think about, and I challenge everybody here that's listening. I challenge everybody who has a fixed ops department. Call your facility and try to buy a tire. Call your facility and try to purchase a tire, and let me know how simple that is, because something as basic as a tire is as basic as I don't believe in oil changes because I think that the industry does more. Paul, what you got there? Let me stop where I'm at.
A handwritten note from a local repair facility, A1 Auto, thanking us for our business. Thank you for coming to us with your bus for the charging system repairs and new starter installation. Please give us a call if we can be of service again. Sincerely, Sean and Chris Doughton, the owners.
Wow.
Okay. And to your point about furniture, right? I bought a new living room set because I figure prices are going to go up. So we'd wanted to change it anyway. So I just went ahead. We went into Lazy Boy. Lazy, you just go there. It's easy, right? You pick out the stuff, you get to sit in all these things, but then they take it one step further. To your point about I didn't like it when it arrived at my house, I preempted that with they actually have somebody that comes to your house and they bring the samples and they measure your house, they measure the space where the furniture is going to go, they lay the cloth over the existing furniture, so that you pick out the ones that you like the best, and then you make an appointment to go back to the store where they have on the computer a 3D, almost like a CAD program that shows you the new furniture and the colors that you picked in your house, how the layout is, and with a final approval, they go ahead and order it. They tell you it's 4 to 8 weeks. I don't care. In the grand scheme of things, that's not a long time. It took, 2 months for the stuff to come in, got delivered. It was easy. That's how you do business. And to your point, today we have to be a lot more to the point, okay? Everything needs to be tied in together. The basic follow-up goes out the window. It's got to go hand in hand with targeted marketing for that specific customer so that, as Corey said, they see value in it because it's to them specifically. It's not some generic BS. I can't tell you, I do mystery shopping as part of what I do, and I can't tell you the amount of BS that I get in the mail and in email for stuff that is totally irrelevant to anything I even inquired about. It seems as though if I'm shopping for a Lightning this week and the sale doesn't happen within 60 days, then I get dumped into the crap bucket. The crap bucket is now I start getting ads for Chevy trucks. Listen, I'm not going to buy any truck, okay? But if I'm inquiring about a Ford truck at a Ford dealership, I'm not looking for a used Chevy truck. Stop me if I'm lying. So Let me go through a couple of comments here because I don't like to get too far. LinkedIn user coming across is my good friend and Fixed Ops brother, Mike Vogel. Says, good evening, Fixed Ops peeps. And to you, Paul Restaurant Meijer, see you Friday. Mike and I are going to get together Friday, and we're going to fine dine on some vegetarian cuisine. Roger Gutierrez, right on Eric. Create and culture is key. It is at least ahead of whatever is in second place, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And Freddie Trujillo, how can we make things easier and more convenient for both our customers and our employees? Chaos costs money. Now, Freddie brings up an interesting point, okay? Because that old customer retention and employee retention, they go hand in hand. You can't have customer retention without employee retention. So when he says, how can we make it easier for both? Now that takes it even deeper, right? Yeah. That means simple things, all right? If my bay is here, I don't need the brake lathe in the North 40, right? The shop needs to be laid out in such a fashion that it's easier for me to work, that it's more pleasant, and that it's more efficient, right? If I'm walking around a bunch of stuff or it's taking me too long to do what I need to do, that doesn't work, and that affects ultimately how the customer feels when they get the service from you. Nathan says that would make people feel special and they would feel that they were being acknowledged. I think he's talking about what you mentioned, Corey. And let's see here. Mike Vogel says, Freddie, convenience means different things to different people. We have to make time to build relationships so we know what's important to each of them, because correct, what's important to you might not be important to you, might not be important to you, and so forth. And Nathan says it is all called being proactive. Wow, proactive.
Yeah. I think Freddie's question is really relevant, because if it's not easy for the advisors or the employee, they're not going to do it. And to the same respect, if we don't make it easy on our customers, are they going to come back? No, right? Customers expect the same ease of making a schedule like they do when they book a hotel or ordering food.
Yeah.
I challenge you, if you're listening to this, go to your website and try to make an appointment with a computer, and then try it with your mobile, right? And see how great it is. And see if you can make an appointment same day or next day, right? I challenge you to do that, because Eric and I do this a lot when we go to stores, and it is not very good, right? We need to take a page out of the book of Amazon. I talk about Amazon all the time because they've got it right. If you buy something and you scroll down, it says most customers that bought this also bought this. Okay, I'll do that too. Why don't we offer that with service? Right?
Well,
Go ahead.
sorry to jump in, Eric. And the reason that I really, because this is really fresh with us, you bring up a really interesting point, Corey, about why don't we offer things? Because humans want the quickest and easiest way out. I mean, why did kiosks take off a few years ago? Now we're into an age of AI. We did a product demonstration, and we just recently signed with a company that takes care of all our level 1 incoming and outgoing calls through AI. And one of the reasons that we went with this is because, one, it asks the questions every single time, like you said. So just like Amazon does, if you bought this, you should have this. AI can now differentiate what a customer needs based on mileage or time or declined services, asks every single time, is never late, never absent, never takes a vacation, and can answer the phone 24 hours a day. so when we talk about technology and how it's affecting to the customer and providing that convenience, I think that's something that is huge. And when we looked at it, the dealer principal had a conversation, and he said, "This is the worst that this AI is ever going to be. It's going to be better tomorrow, and better the next day, and even better the
Yeah.
next day." And that's shocking, because that's going to do the things that we've been trying to get people to do for however long the car business has been around, 150 years.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's and we tell our advisors when they're in our class, it's all being consistent. Every customer, every time, right? But too often, advisors' mindset is, oh, I don't want to make the customer mad. I got to make sure that I'm friendly because I want to get good CSI and I want them to like me. They're not walking through the door looking for another friend.
Right. This is not Match.com.
No, they have plenty of friends. You have plenty of friends. They want you to respect their time, educate them, and then they make the decision. To Eric's point, I'm not selling you. I'm giving you options. Which one do you want, A or B? And guess what? If you
They'll
don't,
pick one.
yeah, and guess what? If you don't offer either one of them, they're not going to pick any of them, right? So you have to really maximize that customer by offering every time, and paint in preparation. You got to prepare for that customer, not just wing it and open the doors and go nuts, right? You've got to prepare the day before of what you're going to talk to Mrs. Jones about. I'm going to offer her prepaid maintenance, or I'm going to look at her, see what her rewards are so she can get a discount on service. Creating a loyalty program that gives a discount and perks after multiple visits, I'm in. I go to Starbucks for that one thing, right? Every year my birthday's coming up, I'm going to get a free coffee for my birthday. I can't wait, right? But every dollar I spend there, I get a certain amount of points. I go to Starbucks anytime I can.
Well, now that you've got a Lincoln, you're going to get Lincoln Rewards points.
I can't wait. I got 40,000 points just by buying a Lincoln.
Exactly. So you've got some free service coming.
The salesperson did tell me I could get some all-weather mats for my 40,000 points. I was like, oh, okay.
One of the things that we look at is, input dedicates output. And we want to put everything on the service advisors. And I'm a service advisor at heart. I bleed service advising. And one of the things I talk about all the time is, how much time do you put into your service advisor before you put them on stage? Or do you just push them out onto stage and say, go act, right? So we want these expectations. Too many times we have the advisor who goes and fills the desk, the manager, the team, the director, whoever's in charge, puts them with the number one advisor or the second best advisor, and they pick up those same habits. But how much training time do we really dedicate to the person who's going to go out and hold the most important part of retention to make
Sunday,
sure
Eric,
we
preach.
keep them? So are you hiring an advisor, and are you how many? This is the part. Now I'm going off. The express department says express department's this, express department's that. Well, first of all, you hired somebody with no customer service experience. You told them, here's how much it pays, here's a desk, let's go. And well, they're not selling. Well, they're not doing this. Well, they don't have the experience. You know who they're learning and practicing and taking that experience with? Your very own customers.
Yeah.
So how much time are you going to dedicate? How much time are you going to put them? Yeah, there is some investment. You do have to pay this person without having any production out of them. But how much are you going to maximize, and how much are you going to keep that person with your store, and how much more are your customers going to love coming to go and service at your facility?
I want to jump in here because what you said, first of all, you could take that microphone, Eric, take it off the swivel and drop it onto the ground, because that was a freaking mic drop moment right there. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay. I've been in a store where the manager has said to me, well, they're just express. They're not paid that well, so I'm not really that concerned about them. I said, oh, that's interesting, because how much of your customers coming in are exposed to your express lane? Oh, about half of them. So you're telling me that half of your customers coming in are with your least trained people and least appreciated because they're just express. Is that what you're telling me? So great point there, Eric. I love it. Damon, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, Eric, I agree 100%. I mean, when we bring somebody new in the industry, we usually stick them with another advisor so that new advisor can learn all the bad habits and all the cutting corners from the other advisor. Why not just spend the money and have an outside trainer come in to train that advisor directly one-on-one? It's so much easier and so much better. And then that way you have somebody dedicated, exactly like these guys. Same thing. You have somebody else come in and do it properly. And then the results are so much better.
Third party that's not emotionally attached to the store.
No, it's not going to get pulled away. Damon, I can tell you that I really wish the car industry and car dealerships would take a page from. I worked for a company called Tweeter. We sold mid to high end audio. Before I stepped foot on the sales floor, I went through 6 weeks of basic training. 6 weeks. I didn't even go to a store. They just paid me training pay. And to Eric's point, if you're going to maximize that person that you just hired, because you hired him for a reason, right? You've got to put some effort in training them. 79% of your customers say they will buy recommended maintenance if it's properly explained. If we don't teach them how to properly explain it, Paul, are you going to go to a restaurant and they don't give you a menu?
Well, I'm not going to lie. There are places I go. I've got my own table. They don't give me a menu. They bring me the.
You went there, Corey. You went there, Corey.
That's not how I saw this happening.
That is straight up OG, Paul. There you go.
You're an anomaly, okay? But most people, when they get to a restaurant, they get a menu.
Yes.
How many times have you gone to a dealership into the service department and they don't offer you a menu? I'm here for my oil change. Okay, that's it. That's it.
No.
Train your
the
advisors.
Manufacturer recommends at 30,000 miles this, and this, and here is why. Cars are on the road longer now than they've ever been. The opportunity could not be greater.
Right. Customers are keeping them 13 and a half years.
Yeah.
Paul. That's up from seven and a half. Right.
Yeah.
But if you really look into this, we've even changed recommend. We don't even have our advisors say recommend. We say required. It's required. Right. Train your advisors to use good, better, best service menus and do a thorough walk around and engage with them. Make it all about them. Why'd you choose this car? I love the color. I know you got new tires 5 months ago. They're looking really good. Like, know the intimate things about those customers, and make sure your pricing is transparent. No one wants a surprise. I want to know how much it's going to be, right?
That's such a huge thing that you're saying, Corey, is transparency, and that's something that I think a lot of people try to avoid because they think that we're, even in the business, I've seen advisors that, have not talked about certain services because either they don't believe in it or can't afford it, and then they don't talk about it. And that's doing a disservice to our customers, and they're not transparent. And why be afraid? Like, this is what it is. And if you've got that relationship with your customers, then price becomes irrelevant. If that was the case, then Apple wouldn't be in business selling $2,500 laptops and $3,500 VR headsets.
$1,600 phone.
It's the same thing we talk about in class. Is it's no longer just an oil change. It's an oil change done by a factory trained technician, replacing your factory oil with a factory drain plug, with a factory filter. It's no longer just a water pump. We make it sound so easy.
Right.
Replacing a water pump is not easy. I'm great at breaking things. Fixing them is not my bag. It's out in the shop, right? So you need to tell that to the customer. You need to get details to them so that outweighs the cost. All of a sudden, the cost becomes a non-issue. You got to be upfront with your pricing, and you got to understand and leverage that technology. Video walkarounds are crucial. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, how much is a video worth, right?
10,000 words.
Exactly.
Let me get to a couple of comments here before we go too further. Eddie Del Toro, used to work with him at CDK Global. He's now with Techion. Says, good evening, Paul. Great podcast. I love the point about the Amazon experience. AI and machine learning can be very powerful tools to enable and automate this experience for the customer. Let's face it, we spend way too much time on stat update calls, way too much time. We spend too much trying to make appointments. And guess what? The customer spends even more time than we do because they're either waiting on hold or they're explaining or re-explaining because the wrong person picked up, okay? This AI thing, it's scary, but it's great at the same time. I don't know if any of you have heard, there's one on Facebook, there's a video, okay? And it talks about some Joe AI guy is calling a customer at 1 a.m. Have you guys seen that video at all?
No, I haven't seen
No.
that.
And the guy says, you know what time it is? He says, yeah, it's 1 a.m. in the morning, but I wanted to confirm your appointment for blah, blah, blah. And he starts asking, he starts engaging in conversation with the AI. And the AI is having a real conversation with the guy, okay? I remember a few years ago, I saw, it was a Google thing where they were doing a demonstration where the computer was calling a hotel and voice inflection, even like, stuff like that. And the person at the hotel didn't know that they were speaking with a computer. That's Stone Age stuff compared to what some of the AI stuff is today. It's really mind-boggling. So great point there, Eddie. Nathan says, and then the customer can refer people to you because they know, like, and trust you. The three basics of making any sale. I don't give a crap what you're selling. Those three basics apply in everything. And Roger Gutierrez, what's that saying? What happens if we train them and they leave? But what happens if we don't and they stay? He says, what happens if we invest training in our people and they leave? What happens if we don't and they stay? Oh, came through twice. Sorry about that. No, that's 100% correct. Nathan Williams says, and managers need to realize that it's not all about them. Bam! It's never about you. It's always about the customer. And they should not be jealous of good employee. That's why it is important to invest in training. Are we seeing a theme or a pattern repeat itself here? Training. And Roger says, I'm having Eric and his team come out to our stores training. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Roger.
Love it.
That is awesome.
One of the areas that I look at a lot is you have managers that will call you out and say, I'm having trouble. Our employees aren't doing any status updates. They're just, and it's blame, right? And you're sitting there and many of the times they don't see that what we're thinking is looking at other things. And you just look at a manager and you go, can you please tell me your PDR? Can you tell me your shop balance? And they look at you and they go, huh? Tell me your PDR, tell me your shop balance, and let's start diagnosing the issue. Well, no, that's not the issue. The issue is updates. And I'm like, based on your response, I can already begin to diagnose where the training needs to begin before we go to the last layer. Let's train from the top down, not from the bottom up, right?
Bam.
So being very specific in diagnosing concerns and just saying, here, this is what we're going to go to, it doesn't fix anybody's problem. So you have to be very specific when you're going in there to train and consult a store and a team to make sure that when you leave there, you do make an impact. Even if you don't improve or change it, you help them find the problem so they can repair it, sometimes even on their own.
And also, there's an old Italian saying, the fish stinks from the head, okay? Sometimes a store will bring you in to do training. And when you do your assessment, because you meet with everybody, you meet with the team, you need to kind of size up. Sometimes what you will find is that the problem is with leadership, not the rank and file. And that's a difficult conversation to have sometimes with an owner, because you're not there to stir the pot. Your allegiance is to the owner of the store. But how do you sometimes delicately say, hey, I think you may have an issue with your manager more than you have with some of the people that manager is complaining about.
Yeah, but conversely, on the flip side, though, I mean, a lot of times you'll get a dealer principal say to a service manager, you need to get more gross. And, automatically it becomes, well, we need more customers. Yeah. And then it becomes just a vicious cycle of, well, we need more customers to get more gross, but we need more gross to get more customers to spend on the marketing to get more customers through the door. Well, how about we do a better job with the customers that we have? So going back to what you were saying before, Corey, maximizing those work orders. I mean, one line ROs in our store, that is sacrilege. That the one line RO is dirty words in our store. We can't have it. And I think we tend to focus on the wrong things because we've always done it that way. And I think that's the mold that we got to break.
Yeah.
I think the other part of that is teaching the advisor what is your commodity? What are you selling every day? Oh, I'm selling parts or I'm selling oil changes. No, you're selling time. Keeping that technician productive, more hours, more money. If the techs are waiting on an RO for approval, they're not making you money.
No bueno.
Implement pre-scheduling, pre-approvals, and real-time status tracking. When you have a customer that gives you a laundry list of stuff, Eric and I have come up with this term, a comfortable call if over amount, right? What's a good comfortable call if over amount for you, Paul, for these items? Well, if it's over $700, call me. If it's under $700, fix it. Now the technician's diagnosed it. That widget is $540. You look at the technician, say, hey, Damon, go ahead and take care of it. And you're looking at me like I got two heads. Well, don't you have to call the customer? No, I've got pre-authorization. Now I call Paul and say, hey, as luck would have it, we have the part in stock. You'll be back on the road by 2 o'clock, and the total is going to be $540. What does Paul instantly think when I tell him the total?
Remember, you just saved him a whole pile of money.
Yeah.
He thinks I saved him money because he gave me $700. Mm-hmm. What else am I building in that whole scenario?
Trust.
What you're saying right there, Corey, is probably one of the hardest things for a service advisor to do is make that call of what budget do I have or what limit do I have to get this done for you today, right now? Because for some reason, psychologically in their heads, they're thinking with their own wallets. Mm-hmm. And we gotta break that. And you break it by having trust with your customer.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that, Damon. One of the things that we see and we work with when we go to our stores, and I personally, live this with the guy that's right above me here. It's when you're going into a store and you're working with the morale of your team. And just think about this. How many times do we go out and we say we're going to hold people accountable? How many times do we say we're going to have teaching moments right then and there? And although those are great, be on the other side of it. Don't talk from a leadership, talk from a student standpoint. And everybody can do math, right? If I said, 10 minus 3 is 7, right? 5 minus 2 is 3. Everybody can do the math. But now think about it and flip it this way. Imagine if you were the advisor, and I'm not talking to anybody in this panel, I'm talking out to the public. Imagine if you were the advisor and I said, hey, you did these two wrong. We need to fix that. Or I flip it around and say, hey, you did these 3 things. You did amazing on those 3 things. What can the person determine if there's 5 steps and you only said 3 were really good? What do you know? That the other 2 weren't great. But if you're saying it in a form that you're boosting morale, you're going to get a higher level productivity out of the person that is working for your team directly with your people. So I'm going to tell you right now, boosting morale comes in a form of gratitude, and it comes in a form of complimenting every step of the way.
Mm-hmm. I want to get to a couple of comments, and then I want to jump on something that Damon said before. Mike Larkin, my buddy, what are some of the best managers doing for follow-up without a CRO, Chief Repeating Officer? Many employees soon revert to pre-training habits and behaviors. Am I wrong? No, you are not wrong. You need to train the trainer in the store to get any kind of, follow-through on it. Robert Sebastian, did you know there are at least 4 quality levels for parts available for cars? Yes. Can you guess which one is most reliable, durable? Ours, 100%. Nathan Williams, that's why they say when bathing, start at the top of the head and work your way down to the bottom of your body. Keep it simple, right? Keep it simple. I love it.
I'm taking it.
I love that guy. You make management participation a condition of your relationship. 100%. And Nathan says that's why it's better to have one customer who spends $250,000 than 50 who each spend only $2,500. Wow, we got some mic drop moments here tonight on both sides of the screen. And Robert Sebastian, when management doesn't participate, they can't coach once the trainer is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And Roger
And
says that's something I'm implementing ASAP. Now, to the point of pre-approvals, okay, there's nothing wrong if you know the customer, you have a history with the customer, and they're coming in for a particular service interval. There's nothing wrong when you're doing your walk around and saying to them, these are the things that are recommended based on this mileage point, and here's why. And oh, by the way, I just want to let you know that oftentimes cars like yours at this particular mileage interval do need front brake pads and rotors. We used to cut them. Now they're coming through thinner. We don't cut them as much anymore. We want to avoid pulsation. You know, I don't have to tell you how to sell. You educate them as to what it could possibly be. If it turns out that you need that, it would add another $500 to your bill. And I will take it one step further and I'll save the parts for you so that I can show you when you come in. If you don't need them, we're not going to put them on. It's that simple. And I know you're busy. So what I'd like to do is, this is today's repair. Here's what might go wrong. I just want to make sure you're covered so I get your car back to you on time. If it's okay with you, I'd like to send you a text, and basically all you have to do is just confirm, okay? Or, as Damon said, we can have agreement on the price before you leave. Because how many shops do you go into where they're trying to call the customer old school, they can't get a hold of them, and now you're at the casino, okay? You're at the table. Do I roll the dice or not? Do I put the wheels on the car and put it outside, or do I wait a certain amount of time before I do that? Because if I put the wheels on, put it out, and have to bring it back in, how much time are we killing, Damon? 20 minutes? 30 minutes?
Absolutely.
Easily,
Absolutely.
right? So if I can set this up ahead of time, then when the tech comes and says, hey, you know what, the brake pads are at 1 millimeter, needs to have them done. Great, go ahead and get started on it. I already know we have all the parts because my system is one where when it quotes parts, tax, and labor, it also checks parts availability. So I know I have the parts. Go ahead and keep moving, right? That's how you maximize this stuff. And to take it even one step psycho further, if we want to bring more customers into the shop, and we all agreed, what'd you say, 13 and a half years on the road now, Corey? Average car?
Yep, 13 and a half.
How many people are going after the old car business?
Nobody.
So what's wrong with a sliding scale labor for an older car that's not going to come to you, that maybe their labor is a little bit less? And what's wrong with giving them the option of, here's an original equipment part that costs X amount of dollars, here's the quality, here's the warranty, here's how long it's anticipated to last, versus an aftermarket parts, which, let's not kid ourselves, 7 in 10 people out there today are buying those aftermarket parts. It's cost X amount of dollars. It's not the same quality, but a lot of them do get sold. Here's the warranty on that. You want the A or do you want the B?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm keeping the car for a long time, I may spend more money on the A. If I'm dumping the car, I may go for the B. But guess what? Don't you get paid labor for either A or B?
Yes, 100%. And that's the great way to say it. I even take it a step further when I was talking to customers, is this original part lasted this long. Now, they've changed the part and they've made it even better. Can you imagine how much longer it's going to last with the new one, right? And then you say, here's an aftermarket one. The other thing I want to make sure that we talk about too when it comes to efficiency is pay techs for efficiency, not just hours. Flat rate systems can be rewarding, right? Speed, but don't punish the quality, right? So consider hybrid pay plans for your technicians that reward efficiency and quality work to keep the technicians motivated. That's what we want them to keep motivated. It's a different world now where customers and everybody's changed. Employees have changed. The customer has changed. The landscape itself has changed so much so that we've got to change with it having a pay plan that was 5-10 years old is not going to work in today's market.
And we have a lot of friends on here right now. I'm a big fan, big fan of what Roger Gutierrez does. The man is beyond brilliant. Some of the marketing stuff that he does is way out of the box. There's no box. He threw that box out. I've seen Freddie Trujillo get out there. Mike Larkin is huge into AI. I've been with him in different rooms. Robert Sebastian does a great job at personalizing stuff and making sure that it's person to person. But one of the things that I'm looking at right now with the industry is you have the curves, right? You have the 1 to 3 years or the 1 to 5 years, and they're high, and they kind of tend to trickle all the way down to the end of the life. Well, what's happening between year 9 and year 13? What are most people who are driving those vehicles year 9 and 13? And I'm just gonna throw something out there. Why aren't there incentives to bring those cars in from the brands to bring those cars in from year 9 to 13? Wouldn't you want to make sure those people are coming into your store, because your opportunity to put them in a brand new set of wheels with your dealership nameplate on there is at its highest when they're there? Most people, one of two things, are either already thinking about it, or number two, they don't want to pay for the repair in reality. They really just want to drive away with something that doesn't give them any problems. So between years 9 and 13, if I'm a dealership or a brand, I am maximizing and incentivizing everybody as much as I can to get those vehicles back in my facility.
You know what I like about Roger?
I'm sorry?
This is what I like about Roger.
Love,
Okay.
That's marketing. That's marketing there. That's
All
it.
right. So I'm with Roger Gutierrez today in the shop.
I love it. That's it.
Damon, go ahead, man.
Well, just to add to your point, Eric, I think that with working for the one of the big manufacturers, they're always talking about vehicle retention, and as you said, in that 1 to 3 year period, while they've still got warranty, you're going to get all that retention in the world, and then when that starts to drop off, you're going to drop it, and they want to talk about how we need to retain people, Unfortunately, the manufacturers don't tell you how that they want people to be retained. So it's up to us to do it. And we've got to stop thinking that we've always done it this way. So let's just let these people drop off and go somewhere else. I have 7 other same manufacturer stores in the city. They can go to 7 different places. That's not including all the aftermarket places. But we want to have them come back to us. How? Why? Why should they? How should they? Paul, I think that what you're saying about a sliding scale for older vehicles, sliding scale labor for older vehicles, I am totally going to R&D that. And I'm not talking about research and development. I'm talking about rip off and duplicate. I'm stealing that idea. That is a great idea and a great takeaway. So we're going to implement that tomorrow. Let's see what happens there. I think, and that's a great marketing idea too.
I love it.
That's what I love about collaboration. We're 4 car guys talking about car business that we love, that's in our veins. Actionable items you can use in your store tomorrow. We didn't get through everything I wanted to get through today because an hour really comes up fast, but I do very much appreciate each and every one of you. This has been an outstanding show. I appreciate it. Can we have some final words from each of you before we call it a night?
All right. You want me to go first?
Go for it.
All right, bottom line. More ROs? No. More profit per RO? Yes. If every service advisor adds just one more service onto the RO, you'll be more profitable and it will skyrocket. Think of McDonald's. Supersize it. Would you like fries with it, right? Customers need to feel valued because you're there to help them stay ahead of costly repairs. Technicians need to stay busy, but it needs to be meaningful. It needs to be effective work without increasing bay congestion. So your biggest takeaway for me is instead of chasing more ROs, focus on adding value to the car that's already in your shop. Teach advisors to require certain things to be done onto that car, adding one more service per ticket, and watch your profitability soar.
Love it. Eric.
I'm gonna drop my one-liner that I keep all the time. It's something that I hold true to my heart. I'm surprised it's not tattooed on me, but it's train your team not to hold them accountable. It's train your team to make them accountable. There's a big difference.
Amen.
Bam. Damon finishes up.
Don't try and reinvent the wheel, folks. Chances are that there's somebody in the group or somebody in the community that is doing something that will make your business better. Learn from other people. I learned so much today from Corey and Eric and you, Paul. I want to thank you guys so much for helping me today. But don't be afraid to reach out to anybody and get the insight.
Love it. Thank you to the audience who watched it live and to those that watched it on the replay. And thank you, gentlemen. Let's keep the conversation going. I wish everybody a safe and successful next week. And why don't you guys stay on for a couple of minutes after the show goes off. With that, we'll see you next week on Sunday Night Live. Thanks for watching.